Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be in 1 Samuel, chapter 17. We're going to be reading about David and the Goliath. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I'm going to read some of it. So obviously Jacob had, I believe, brothers there, and his dad told him to go take food there. And there was the Philistine there, and he was mocking God. Our God, and his name was Goliath, and he was mocking our God. And then none of the men would go out there and fight him, because you got to think, when it's talking about giants, it's not so much talking about guys who are like 100 feet tall or whatever, but dudes basically about, it said that Goliath was about 9.5 feet tall, and he was the largest. So you got men that are like the regular size, 6 foot 5'10". He's this gigantic dude compared to them, and they're all afraid of him because they didn't have faith in God at that time to protect them. But David did, and that's where we're going to get into. And Saul gave him his armor, but I think his armor was too big, and he took his armor off. And so we're going to start in verse 40. And he took his staff in his hand, and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them in the shepherd's bag which he had, even in the scrip, and sling was in his hand, and he drew to the Philistines. If you remember, before David, he was a shepherd. He protected sheep, and he done killed a bear and a lion with that sling. Through the power of God, he had no fear because he knew God was on his side. And the Philistine came on and drew near David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And the Philistine looked about and saw David. He disdained him, for he was but a youth, and ruddy, and a fair countenance. David's a young boy. He is not very old, and he's not very big. And the Philistine said unto David, I am a dog, and thou camest to me with staves. And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air and the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear and a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, and God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. So he's saying that, basically he's still mocking him and stuff, and cursing him, and basically saying that once he kills him, he's gonna feed him to the animals. And David's like, you come to me with these weapons, and I come to you with God. God is basically is his weapon in that sense, because he knows no matter what that God's gonna help him in this situation, no matter how big the threat was or anything. Samson went up against hundreds of men and was able to defeat them all with the jawbone of a donkey. With God, nothing's impossible. And as long as you have faith like that and you believe it, nothing's impossible. But if you don't have that strong connection, that most of the things that you think are going to happen or whatever are not going to. Sorry, let me see. Okay, verse 45. Then said David to... Oh, never mind. Verse 46. This day will the Lord deliver thee into my hand, and I will smite thee, and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcass of the host of the Philistines this day, and to the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. So he's saying that he knows God for sure will deliver Goliath into his hands, and that he will defeat him. And people will know that God is real. I mean, if this boy just beat this giant with like that through God, then he must be real, right? And all this assemble shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. And it came to pass, when the Philistines arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in the bag, and took out thence a stone, and slaying it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, and the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. Remember, he grabbed 5, and all he had to use was 1. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. See, he believed with everything he had that, when he was saying that, he already knew it was going to happen, like it's happened before, like he's seen the future or whatever, because he knew the strength. He didn't need to know the strength of Goliath, because he knew the strength of God. He knew that God was the Almighty, and he was the Creator, and that he would help him in these situations. And I'm not saying that you're just going to go out and be able to defeat everybody, but this guy was mocking God and stuff, and David stood up for God. So God helped him out. I remember watching one movie where a woman, they were getting ready to get robbed or something. This was, I think, was a true story. And, she was like, in the name of God, put that knife away and get out of here. And he literally was like looking around, and he just he ran off. He put down the knife, and he just ran away. That shows the power of God. And she believed it with everything that she had, that he was going to do that. She wasn't like, oh, maybe he'll do it. She knew that he was going to do it. And as long as you got to have that strong faith and pray for that faith and stuff, and that then things could happen for you. I'm not, because as long as you just have that faith for God, he will help you out, and you got to have that connection and just believe that's going to happen. But thank you for watching. There's more. For that whole chapter, there's 58 verses, but David's through the rest of Samuel, so if you want to go check that out and read about the bear and the lion and stuff, it's 1 Samuel. I just read in chapter 17, but it was a little bit before that as well. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and just take it easy.